Matt W., starting with you on this one. Are you confident in Will Buxton becoming the new play-by-play commentator for IndyCar? And do you think Fox Sports has made the right move here by going after a major name in motorsports broadcasting?
Well, good evening, everybody. Big week for motorsport media. We're going to delve right into it on the show tonight with, and that's why our media guru, Mr. Owens, is with us. Buxton on IndyCar. Let me do the off-camera thing, like they do in Drive to Survive. Could this be the worst hire in the history of TV broadcasting? Yes. It's not. I mean, my first thought about this was, where has this come from? Apart from he works with Hinch on F1 TV. B, and we're going to get to this in a short while, is Adam Alexander now the A+ player of motorsport play-by-play in the US? Because we've got Diffie, of course, on NASCAR and NBC, Australian, and now with an Englishman doing IndyCar. That's not a good look for American play-by-play motorsport people. And let's face it, we all love Mike Joy, but he's not got many more years left in him, has he? On the grand scheme of things. So I don't know. We talked about this. I think it was after the show last week, Josh, but after we'd gone off the air, and we've been back and forth about messages since about Will, because the rumours were bubbling. He kind of first came to my attention when because in the UK, Eurosport used to have GP2, as it was now Formula 2, and they would do their own commentary, as Eurosport does for pretty much everything, even though there is a perfectly fine English-speaking world feed commentary. And they used to have Martin Haven on. When Sky Sports F1 launched, we had Will Buxton doing GP2. I kind of warmed to him, and then he disappeared off, and Alex Jakes took the helm, and we know how successful that has been up until the end of last season. And now it kind of sort of faded away. Strive to Divide has brought Will Buxton back into the mainstream, I suppose. And I don't like this hire. I really do not like this hire. I stand to be corrected on this, and I've said this on social media this week. But I just don't think Will has got that energy that we've seen out of the last few people that have been doing IndyCar, especially obviously Diffie, who we all love, Bob Jenkins, Jerry Punch, Alan Bestwick, Jenna Fryer was wrong. So should be waving the flag for my English compadre here and getting the big job, but I don't like it. I don't like it. Size as it all.
Take your time.
First off, hello everybody. I don't know if I can still say Happy New Year, but to you guys I will say Happy New Year.
It's Chinese New Year in the next few days.
Okay, well, very good then. I didn't even know that. Do you know how easy this should have been? It should have been as easy as A and B. I don't know, guys. I don't know where this came from. Like you said, Matt, I'm very confused where it came from. Alan Bestwick has been sitting right there. I'm about to blow everyone's minds. It's been 10 years since ESPN did NASCAR. It's been 10 years since he was on NASCAR on ESPN. It's been we're coming up on 7 years since he did IndyCar on ABC. It's been a long time where we have not heard from Alan Bestwick, other than if you're on the grounds at Indianapolis listening to the public address and a UConn women's basketball fan and a PBR fan. Anyway, it felt to me, as we waited for this whole process, it felt like it was just so simple. Bring Alan Bestwick to Fox to be the voice of IndyCar, and then also have him on your roster to slide into Mike Joy's seat when he retires, which has to be coming up soon. We love Mike Joy. One would think it would be within the next 5 years. It would be very difficult to see Mike Joy doing NASCAR in 2031. That just felt so easy and simple. But they haven't gone that route. I would love to know if they even talked to Alan, if they offered him the job. I would love to know that. We might never know that. But Fox, who has never been afraid since Fox Sports became a big player in the mid-90s, they've never been afraid to think outside of the box. I think they've gone too far outside of it here. Now, they haven't went out and said, hey, Kevin Burkhardt, who of course does the NFL, has a Super Bowl coming up here next month. Or they haven't gone and said Kenny Albert or someone like that, come do IndyCar. They haven't gone that route, which ESPN and ABC once did once upon a time ago, and even further back with the wide world of sports. It's a different time and age. They have gone with someone that knows about the sport. He says he's a fan of the sport. Have every reason to believe that he is a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of the sport. I didn't get a call. But I think the overarching issue here is to what Matt said. Man, where are we going to go for American voices in this sport? Because we're not seeing many get promoted. And I've been talking about this for years on whatever platform that I've been on, is that we have been so comfortable with Mike Joy in a booth since the late 80s, even on some networks. And certainly in a week in, week out basis on Fox since the turn of the century. And we got so used to Alan Bestwick or Bill Weber or Jerry Punch or Marty Reed or Alan Bestwick, who I said twice there, I think. I'm sorry. That's how much I love him. We just haven't been bringing young, new guys up. Adam Alexander was one of them. He's taken off and done so many roles on TNT and Fox, and now back with TNT and Amazon. But it used to be we would have people on radio, mostly MRN, and they would graduate from pit road to the turns, from the turns to the booth, then the radio booth to TV in some way. That's how it was for Ken Squire. That's how it was for Mike Joy, for Alan Bestwick, so on down the line. We're not getting that all of a sudden. Rick Allen never was on radio for NASCAR. He got a big job with Speed doing the Truck Series, of course. The last guy, actually, that honestly you could say has made the move from radio to TV was Adam Alexander. I guess more recently, Kim Kuhn from radio to TV on pit road. But we're not bringing people up from the radio ranks here lately. And Matt, your point is well taken on where are we going to go for American voices, because I think the point of having an American voice and a voice that Americans are comfortable with is a huge part of this that I don't think they're getting here with Will Buxton. If you are a diehard IndyCar fan that doesn't care about Formula One and didn't watch Drive to Survive, you very well may not know who Will Buxton is, and you are not comfortable with someone new coming in to be your voice every race, every week, and especially for the 500, which is going to be watched by millions of people.
Yeah, and to that, you had on a kind of a similar thing when Lee Diffie took over at NBC. A couple of months or so back now, end of the summer, after the post-Olympics, everyone went, whoa, how good is this guy? Like, obviously, there's, as we know from the ratings, there's not a lot of NASCAR fans that watch IndyCar. We all knew that Diffie was amazing. We've watched him in Superbikes and Supercars and IndyCar and every Supercross for years. Anything with super in the name, it seems. But then he goes to NASCAR and everyone's going, this English guy's really good. He's Australian. He's Australian. But everyone's been, and we have on this program and on the network been raving about Lee for the back end of last season. And back to the American point, they had a number 2 at NBC, and he came in for that last run there after Lee moved. Kevin Lee, what happens to him now? Because I thought him that we had the Hinch, Bell, and Diffie combination. Obviously, Diffie moves out of that. Lee comes in. It just seemed to carry on as if nothing had changed. We're still going to get James and Townsend on Fox now with their move across. But I don't see what they needed to change from that trifecta. But they've obviously gone with the. The first thing I saw when I saw this was, this is a Drive to Survive hire.
Well, I think, to your point about Lee Diffie and how he came into NASCAR and everyone instantly seemed to love him, I think part of that is, too, NASCAR fans were still, they knew of him, very comfortable with him, and Americans very comfortable with him from doing the American Le Mans Series all those years ago, and IndyCar, and Formula One over here, and a couple of NASCAR races, Cup and Xfinity. The average American NASCAR viewer knew of him, had heard of him, comfortable with him. That's not going to be the case here for the majority, and I think it's a real gamble. I really do think it's a gamble.
Two quick things. Adam's comment on screen. He's positive on this, as you can see. He loves the booth. Looks like it's going to be good. He's on the opposite side of the coin to us. I think, Matthew, you brought it up when we were talking in whatever day it was over the weekend. The coming to the green at the Speedway in May. I just already can't get it. I've not heard it yet. I've not seen it yet. It's however many days away. You've probably got the countdown nearby. I just can't hear and see it. I don't know. It's just going to be weird. Josh, you haven't said anything. What are your thoughts on this?
I'll give you a sneak peek as well. And at the Brickyard, we're racing. There you go. That's it. That is it. There is never. It's. I'm with you on this. I liked him at GP2. I thought he was really good there. He had the occasional moment where he could be energetic. I seem to have it in my mind a time when we saw an Arden force Sam Bird off the track, and him in a practice commentary going, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Unbelievable! Get out, that sort of thing." So I think he's got the passion. Do you remember?
There was a talking of Sam Bird, it was Barcelona, and Sam Bird was putting moves on everybody at the same corner in the race. And he went, Sam Bird, stop it! Which is on YouTube. You have to go and find that. He's got his moments. Oh, there's my phone high slides off the chair. But
it's disagree with us. No. I mean, I am very much of the opinion that this is going to be a disaster. I hope I'm wrong, because I think he's a fine pundit, but I just don't see Buxton working in a play-by-play role. Jerry Punch, Vince Welch, Jamie Little all struggle going from the pits to the booth. Exactly that. And did Bestwick say no, possibly? He's already got the IMSA public address role, and UConn WBB as well. And I said this to you yesterday, Matthew, that maybe he did say no. Because to me, it seemed like it was very much a last-minute call, because there was no goodbye Will from F1 TV, was there, in Abu Dhabi? No, thank you for joining us. No big sign-off from a paddock he's worked in for 21 years. There was nothing. And this has come up, in the last 2 weeks? It seems very much like it's been a split decision. NBC back in the day used Charlie Jones and Joe Myers to IndyCar IMSA and NHRA telecast back in the day as well. That's
back in the day, all right. I'm not going to get into the full history of sports media, but Charlie Jones was terrific on many sports. But anyway, did the Bills and Oilers 35-3 comeback. Enough out of me. American voice thing. The voice does not have to be American.
No, it was a thought process spanner in my head. Actually, while I was driving around, I was like, hang on a minute, who's the number one American guy now?
Yeah. So I don't think the voice has to be American. I think the voice, the person, needs to know how to talk to Americans. And has Will Buxton done a lot of that? Yes, he was on Speed and he was on NBC. He didn't get a ton of airtime, right? on any of
No, and
those.
I seem to remember when every time he came to the American Grand Prix as well, they used to make fun of him because he was in America.
So I don't know if someone to lead NASCAR or IndyCar does not have to be an American, but they do have to know how to talk to an American audience, especially in this case, I thought, because what is Fox trying to do here? They are trying to rebuild IndyCar. IndyCar is at a low popularity-wise in this country. They're trying to rebuild that. And that's why we've seen so much poured into these ads, and there's more coming. Tom Brady was in an IndyCar ad. They're trying to rebuild it. I hope he's able to talk to the American audience. We'll see. That's all we can say is we'll see. To Matt's point too, by the way. I'm gonna get Indy crazy here. I want my person doing the Indianapolis 500 to really revere that event. I want them to understand the history and appreciate the history of that event. He's going to be on TV a lot, right? All of those practice sessions, all of that qualifying, that 6-7 hour broadcast on Saturday, 2-3 more hours on Sunday, the race itself. They've also announced the airtime's going to be 10 a.m. Not 11, but 10 a.m. It's going to be on the air a lot.
I'm just getting my iPad because there was a post he put on. I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that Will loves the Indy 500. I know
sure.
there's a famous story, isn't it, that he brought a brick back and the airport tried to stop him. Here it is, that very brick that he brought back. He did say, well, there he is. Well, that's Will Buxton. There it is. There's that very brick that he brought back from Indy. And he did say in his post, a decade ago, I reported on my first IndyCar races, including my first visit to IMS. I fell in love with the place immediately. The history, the passion, the emotion that whips through the air as the cars rocket past you, sucking the air from your lungs, breathing tradition and understanding into your soul. On my final day, I was presented with a Culver block, one of the bricks that once lined the entire speedway. It was at the time and remains today the most humbling gift. I've always loved IndyCar and always been enthralled by the excitement of its racing and stunned by the skills of its incredible drivers. And while I always hoped that one day I might, I never imagined that I would have the opportunity to join the series full time. That I would get to do in the role as with the responsibility that I do in 2025. Tremendous honour. And while I'm unbelievably excited, I'm only too aware of the enormity of the task I'm undertaking and the trust placed in me. So I think he gets it. And I'm hoping we see a different style. I think he's got Alex Jakes right there, who is going to give him all the world of advice. Alex has called the 500, of course, with Sky. So he knows how to build up the pressure. And I'm hoping that Will throws all the energy into it, because the last couple of years, especially on F1 TV and the races he did in 2022, I didn't get the sense of passion. When the lights go out, it's the big moment. And when that flag falls on El May Day, it's going to be like, you have got to go. You have got to really throw it. It's the biggest sporting event of the year, and you've got to really go for it. And I don't think he's got the gift to do it.
He knows about the history. Does he know the history? Josh, remember when I sent you my board for the 500?
Oh my God, it was A3 with facts and figures and pages of information, and it was absolutely insane.
Now,
you think I'm bad at notes? He's worse.
You would never have the time in the moment to look down and find something. Just have to know it. Just have to know it. And if we're coming to the white flag and we're setting up for another last lap pass, we've had 2 last lap passes each of the last 2 years. That's how many times it happened previously in the first 107 runnings. Do you know that?
Was it 4?
Some of this stuff is trivial. I get it. But I think it's what people want to know. That, yeah, we had a last lap pass in 06, 11, 23, and 24. That's it.
Yes! I'm so psyched I knew that. Oh, wait, I thought you continued for a second.
Yeah, that's it for me. I think I've said my piece. I feel like I've said my piece. More coming.
Oh, do you know, I'm so happy I knew that. That's a big tick for me to go down. I'll write that and stick it on the wall of the commentary box.